Thank you for joining me. I'd like to talk today about clairvoyants, psychics, and missing people. Because we have recently in Australia, there's been a little girl been missing for 3 weeks in Western Australia. And thank goodness today she was found alive and well. She's only 4 years old and her name was Chloe. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because I quite often get people message me asking me where somebody is who's missing. And if they're not a direct relative of the person missing, I won't intervene because I know they're asking out of the goodness of their intention and they care and they want to know, but it's their curiosity that wants to know. And it can be very dangerous to start talking about things like this in the public if you haven't been asked and you get it wrong. And I noticed this in this case because a couple of people had asked me what I was feeling, and I gave a very short description, just saying that I felt she was alive and that somebody had taken her who had some mental health issues, and it was a man, and that was it. I left, and I said she wasn't very far from where she was taken, and that was it. I left it. I can't give that information to the police because they don't, in Australia particularly, they don't take psychic information with any value, mainly probably because they get maybe they get a lot of different psychics contacting them with conflicting information, and for them it's going to ruin using their clues. They have to work scientifically to find their answers. So I totally understand why the police don't ask psychics. But this particular woman I saw who was overseas, she wasn't even in Australia, took it upon herself to solve this case on a public platform, telling everybody that the parents were involved and the child was dead. Now, she was totally wrong. Now, that's damaging. That is so disrespectful to the family that are going through the grief. Like, as a psychic, well, I know for me, if I overstep the line, my guides will not give me accurate information. If I did that, like she did, and took it upon myself to go on a public platform and speak about where this person was and what happened, my guides would not give me accurate information. They only give me accurate information because I keep it to myself. So only time in the past when I have worked on missing people is when a direct relative has contacted me and wants my help. And then I'm only too happy to help with what I see. I had that happen with a young girl was missing in the Grand Canyon, and her father contacted me. And another thing that is very difficult from my perspective is when I see that the person has passed and I can feel their energy, I can't bring myself to say to the parent that she's passed, even though that's the truth. I can't bring myself to say that because I don't want to be the person that causes them pain. So in the circumstance where this girl was missing in the Grand Canyon, I explained to the father that I could see that she'd had an accident and she was laying in this place, and I gave him kind of like coordinates, like I saw a certain tower that was there, and I could see other sort of landmarks that were there. And I wanted them to find her. I wasn't going to tell him what had actually happened to her. Over the course of about a week, maybe 2 weeks, there was an ongoing investigation, obviously, and somebody had reportedly seen this girl because she was with a tour group, and somebody said they saw her get back on the bus with the tour, and then she was at a cafe. So the father contacted me again, really, really excited that that there's been a sighting of her, and you know, what else could I see? But I could still only see her laying in this position where she had fallen, and I felt like she'd passed, but I still didn't tell him. So when he asked me what else I could get, I just said I can't get anything else. I hope somebody really did see her, but I can't get anything else. That's just where I left it. And he contacted me again about a week after that, and they had found her body. She had unfortunately fallen and died in the fall. And when he wrote back to me, he said, God bless you, because you knew. He said, I know you knew, but you didn't want to break that to me. And I really appreciate that. He was so kind to me in the way that I had delivered the information to him, thinking of his feelings. So that was, you know, and I have worked before with a forensic profiler on a murder case, because that was coming directly from someone who was working on the case to try and solve it. So I felt like, yes, that was a good one to work with. And I've had some really good successful ones where a daughter contacted me and her dad was missing in Tasmania. And I described an area where I saw him, and I said, he's still alive. And yes, they found him. He was hurt, but he was still alive. And same with locally, excuse me, in our area, there was 2 men that had been missing on a boat for a couple of days out in the ocean. And one of their partners, she contacted me directly, and I saw them still alive. And I saw the boat being found and them being found. So, and it did happen. So I kind of get a feeling of positivity that it's going to be solved, and then I get a dread type feeling. But the thing is, sometimes psychics will put their logic rather than, are they really picking up the soul of this person that's missing? Are they putting in their opinion or their perception of what they think has happened, and they're not really getting into the energy of what really has happened? And this happened like last year, or no, a couple of years ago it was now, sorry. A man had contacted me, and his son's best friend, who was always at his house, he had gone missing. And I felt like he was just in one of those spaces of, he'd had enough with life and he just wanted to get away from everyone. So he wasn't answering Messenger, he wasn't answering his phone, which was kind of wrong of him to do that because it was upsetting everybody. They couldn't contact him. But from his mind space, he just needed to get away. And I saw him driving in this particular direction. And so I happened to ask another friend of mine who's also psychic, and I said, what do you feel about this young man that's gone missing? And she said, I can see him hanging in a tree. And I'm like, what? She said, I can see him hanging in a tree. And I said, do you think he's killed himself? And she said, yeah, I can feel his spirit. It's on the other side. And I'm like, oh, I can't feel that. So, like, I don't know why we're feeling something totally opposite. And it ended up about 4 days after that, the original guy that contacted me again and said, he's home again. You were right. He just closed off from the world. He'd got in his car and he just drove and he ignored everybody. And then when he'd had time to think, he came back. Now, I was thinking after that, how dangerous would that other psychic have been giving that information to relatives when that's not what happened to him at all? He was fine. So it's such a fine line between giving misinformation and you've got to be so diplomatic and you've got to be so caring about the feelings of people that are going through losing somebody, because they don't know what happened and they don't want to get false hope. They want hope, but they don't want false hope. So I thought it's a good topic to talk about, so that people just are very, very careful on who they follow, which psychics they follow, which ones just take it upon themselves to solve a case without anybody asking them to. If you see somebody doing that, then you'll know straight away they're working from their ego, they're not working from their heart center, and they're not caring about the people that are involved. And you know, like sometimes people send me a message and they go, oh, look, a local man in our town's missing. Can you see where he is? And if I say to them, yes, but what are you going to do with that information? If I tell you you're not related to him at all, you have nothing to do with this person, it's your curiosity that wants to know. If I tell you, what are you going to do with that information? Are you going to go to the police with it? Because you don't have any proof. You're just saying what a psychic said. So you really need to have proof, and you need to have proof, and you need to have respect for the people that have lost others in their, you know, they're people that are missing. You've got to have that respect for them and just let it unfold the way it's meant to unfold. So thank you so much for listening to this topic. I'm sure you all have your own perceptions about, you know, whether psychics should be involved, or you know, whether we are doing the right thing by just sitting back and waiting for things to unfold in the way that they're meant to unfold, and we're not interfering in the investigation by police. So thank you so much for listening.